Hey guys, it's ArchieLuxury. ArchieLuxury from the ArchieLuxury channel, the Paul Pluta channel, and ArchieLuxury corporate. Guys, keep watching. Keep watching. I need the viewers. I need the viewers. I need the subs. I need it. Like, subscribe, and tell your friends. Tell your friends, whether you like them or hate them. Just tell them anyhow. ArchieLuxury on YouTube. Hi guys, ArchieLuxury on the Paul Pluta channel. Today guys, I want to talk about one of my favorite watches, and it is the I'm wearing it, so let's do a quick wristwatch check. It's the PATEK Philippe 5196. This is basically the quintessential Calatrava from the PATEK lineup, and I've got to say it's one of my favorites. It's got a lot going for it, and just bring this watch up. It's very traditional, as anyone who is a bit of a PATEK guru or nut will tell you. It's the Calatrava line. When the Stearns are the people who own PATEK. When they took over PATEK Philippe in the 1930s, they set about bringing out a watch to celebrate that achievement and also to get some sales, because they were in the middle of the Great Depression. And they released the fabulous Calatrava, the Calatrava, reference 96. Reference 96. And this particular watch here, this is reference 5196, pays tribute to that original piece. In fact, the original piece itself is so good. This book here, The Watch by Alexander Barter, it features on the cover. That's a reference 96. An original reference 96, 31 mils. And the thing is, with the wristwatch genre, different pieces have been popular. There was the classic dress watch, the thin, ultra thin phase. Then we were hit with the sports phase, and not to mention the quartz phase. So this piece here, PATEK Philippe 5196, is kind of the quintessential Calatrava. It's an interesting piece. Many people say it is a bit flawed. I got a few friends of mine. One of my friends, Dave, who's a bit of a Lange guy, he's a bit of a Rolex guy. He just doesn't seem to get the PATEK groove, and I get it. PATEKs are expensive compared to Lange and Vacheron. They are. PATEK, you pay a PATEK tax because they invented this space. It's a bit like Mercedes-Benz. You pay a Mercedes tax because they are Mercedes. No other car is the benchmark. Mercedes also invented that. They invented the car. So I've got to tell you, looking at this watch here, is it flawed? And that's a very good question. Is it flawed? People say it's flawed. It features the 215, which is a manual wind movement, which when you take a look at it, it was a movement that originally was intended for the smaller sizes of the time, like the 33 mil dress watch. The 215 movement's been used in ladies' pieces. It's used in a number of pieces. So when you plonk that movement into a case which is bigger, some people have said, oh, it's flawed because the movement is smaller than what it was intended. It's a movement that is made for a smaller genre of watch. And I get that criticism. And then they say, well, because it's not perfect, PATEK then decided to not have a display back. They had a it's the metal of the case, in this case here 18 karat yellow gold. And I think that is a fair assumption, but what a beautiful place to get a initials or something engraved on the back. To my son, perhaps. So, is this watch flawed? And that's an interesting thing. Is it a flawed watch? Well, I gotta be totally honest with you. I think it's probably the greatest wristwatch in modern times, because if you think back there, this watch here, this is the one that did it. This is what brought Patek to the forefront. It's the watch that made Rolex famous. Everybody then sort of started making men's watches, and I've got to be honest with you, the men's Calatrava is kind of the icon. The reference 96 is the first. And this piece here, okay, you could criticize the movement and say the movement's too small for the case. But what would you put inside there? See, you want a movement with historical significance. And the 215 movement, that is a movement which has been used in so many references. The famous 3919, which really popularized Patek Philippe, that uses 215. So many pieces have used that movement. And I don't know if you could use anything else. It's such a beautiful representation. And I've got to be honest with you, the attention to detail, the effort they've gone, everything about it, the indices are drilled, it's everything is done. It is a complicated watch to make. So in many ways there, I think it is probably the most perfect watch. It is probably this is the watch that owes, the whole watch industry owes something to this watch. The original reference 96, and this is basically the tribute to that special piece in a more modern size. This is 37mm with a 21mm strap, and it is classic Calatrava. That's what it is. It's very classic Calatrava. This is what this watch does. It brings it out, it showcases this watch, and I've got to be honest with you, it is a rather sporty type piece. It's kind of where you can easily look at this watch here and just be mesmerized by its beauty. It is I think it's the quintessential Patek. It's not the most expensive Patek in the range there. It's a simple manual wind, but it's just something about it that just pops. It really does pop. And I adore it. I really do adore it in yellow gold. They do it in white gold, rose gold, yellow gold, and also platinum. I think I've got the yellow gold interpretation, which I really do love. I really do love it. So, is it flawed? Well, everything in this world is flawed to an extent, but when you look at this watch and say, well, this watch here is what really all wristwatches owe their existence to being. Without reference 96, so many other watches wouldn't have come out. So many design cues came off the reference 96 Calatrava. And I think the whole watch industry needs to bow its head to the reference 96, and this is the modern interpretation. The 5196, probably the greatest watch in the world there. It's easy to get lost with sports watches, Submariners, GMTs. It's easy to get lost, but when you really look back into it, it's through watches like the original reference 96, that the whole industry exists today because of it. And I've got to tell you, I love to slip this on. I love to slip it on. A beautiful Patek Philippe dress watch. How can you go wrong with that? That is just a beautiful, charming watch. So I think for many people don't realize the implications on it. A brand like Lange was really, it's a Phoenix brand. After World War II, it was gone. If it wasn't for people like Patek, Lange would not exist today. Patek held that market and let others come into that space. Without watches like this, Lange wouldn't be here today. So I think so many watches themselves, brands like IWC, they've taken styling cues from the 96. Omega, Rolex as well. Yes, Rolex as well. They've taken styling cues from the reference 96. And in many ways this is probably the building block of the whole modern watch industry. And unfortunately, people don't pay respects. They don't pay their respects to this iconic piece. But it's really why modern watches exist today. I'm ArchieLuxury. This has been a video for my channel. Tell me what you think. Like, subscribe, tell your friends, and don't be afraid to put some nasty comments down below. And I will see you in the next one. Hi guys, ArchieLuxury, and who do I recommend in America? In America, who do I recommend for quality pre-owned wristwatches? David SW, David SW, David SW. Go to davidsw.com. He is the best, the greatest pre-owned dealer in all of the United States of America. David SW, David SW, David SW. Hey guys, ArchieLuxury. Who do I recommend for watches in Brisbane and Sydney? Vintage Watch Co. That's correct. Vintage Watch Co. in Brisbane Arcade in Brisbane and the Strand Arcade in Sydney. Vintage Watch Co. Brisbane and Sydney. Ronnie, I've known him since the late 90s. Ronnie is a top bloke. Luke is a great guy. Vintage Watch Co. That is who I recommend in Australia. Check out Vintage Watch Co. and the guys' amazing range of watches. They also do service and repairs. Vintage Watch Co. That is where the Pontiff goes. You know, some of my Pateks came from Vintage Watch Co. That's right, guys. Vintage Watch Co.